Hey guys, you are listening to Ball, of course, and this weekend, this Sunday, I played a game of War Machine and Hordes with my friend Josh at his house. And we played it at a points level of 200, which is pretty rare. It's an apocalypse-sized game with 4 warcasters each, and obviously 4 battle groups, and a huge mass of infantry and solos. And we did not use the unbound rules. I don't think that they're necessary, so long as you take a fairly practical approach to the game, you can actually get through it without needing the apocalypse or the unbound rules at all. Anybody that's played a few dozen games of War Machine, at least, and we've played hundreds, will have such a knowledge of the game and what everything does that it won't be slowed down by looking up the rules all the time. To keep it sensible, we kept it at time turns, and we had 1 hour time turns, and neither of us really were under pressure to finish the turn in time. I mean, Josh came very close, maybe within 10 minutes of clocking out on the turn. A couple of times, but it was fine, and we started about 11 o'clock in the morning and wrapped it up at about 7 at night. We had a lunch break, we went out and actually got some food and came back. So it was fine. We played a scenario where it was basically outflanked with the 2 zones, and we basically made an agreement that by the time the evening time rolled around, whoever killed the most casters obviously was likely to win it. It was going to be decisive after 4 or 5 turns anyway, but just in case there was a tiebreaker situation, we displayed it that first person to either score like 10 control points or have more than 5 control points than his opponent, like a margin of 5, would win it on scenario. We didn't expect that to come up. It was just sort of a grind sort of game. This is a 4x4 table. You do not need a bigger table unless you're playing maybe a really super infantry heavy Kriegs spam, something like that. Everything fits on, and it's just a bit more carnage. I mean, it's just a bit too sparse if you play it on a bigger table. It's really nice if you've got an extra width on the side to play it with as well. We also made some sort of agreements early on in the game about which casters to use. I originally thought that we should not use P. Severius, either of the Haleys or Harbinger, or P. Kreoss, casters that can make it a little bit too decisive to kill the enemy's warcasters and just have control feats that are too powerful. I actually wrote Josh's list originally, but he changed it because he wanted to play Epic Haley. After I saw his choice to play Epic Haley, it's kind of annoying. I did put P. Severius in there, who's quite powerful. Last time we played with Epic Haley, it was against Circle, and Circle's a bit better at taking her out. This time she's got domination and things to really hurt me with, but not afraid of E-Haley either way. I went with the Reclaimer because I knew there'd be so much shooting out there, but you've got to bear in mind that even though there's heaps of shooting, and there's the clouds to stop the shooting, he's still got Mage Sight and he's still got Flare and so forth to get around that, so I still have to be very careful. The casters were on the Signar side, Epic Haley, that's Haley 2, Nemo 1, who's actually got a really good feat against lots of jacks, Nemo 1 and Siege, and P. Kane. Now P. Kane, that's Kane 1, has the feat which actually shoots everything in its control area, so it's really powerful. On my side with the Menoth, we've got P. Severius, who's excellent with Eye of Menoth and 200 points. Obviously Defender's Ward's useful as well, and Ashes to Ashes, you've got a lot of targets for that. Vindictus True Path is amazing at a large game because Menoth really need the speed and the Pathfinder to get through all of the difficult tactical positional situations. High Reclaimer because, if I can advance the center of the army behind the cloud, then E-Haley's feat isn't going to ruin the day too badly for me, since he can't charge if he can't see me through the clouds. And finally, 3 Kreoss, who makes the 10 Vengers that you take really powerful. His feat is the only way I've got to get rid of upkeeps besides my 2 Dispel units, which are the Fire of Salvation and Gravis. So no Purification. Didn't really feel like I'd need it. I've got so much Blessed in the army to get around his Arcane Shield, and he hasn't actually got Polarity Shield. Got 2 Judicators. I've basically got my entire collection of Menoth, which you'll see throughout this this clip, and I've got Josh's Signar, which he's basically put together. He's got a few unpainted units. You might see a few unpainted models here and there, but most of it's sort of ready to go. And as I've been talking, you'll have been seeing these photos. I've been flicking through here of the deployment zones and how it's all going. I've got the cavalry in the flank, and the plan here is basically to put clouds in between the two Judicators and have the two units of heavy infantry move up the centre. You'll notice that I've got Cinerators, which aren't really that good, but I'm trying to include my entire model collection. And you know, with True Path and Defender's Ward and Eye of Menoth, I mean, they can still actually do a good job, and they're actually very good at tanking. I've even got the High Reclaimer in case I want to actually bring some of them back as a result of the feat. And of course Warcasters behind. So infantry around the sides, the heavy stuff through the middle, and just going to try and grind it out and hopefully get into a situation where I can out-combat him instead of being shot to death. So after the first turn, oh by the way, with the roll for the first turn, in Josh's opinion, rolling for the first turn is too important, so he wanted to come up with some other system of doing it. I said to him that, you know, going first is a big advantage, but going second is a big advantage because you can deploy the stuff that you want to against the other guy's stuff, which is a big deal. So Josh, thinking that taking second turn was more important, we didn't roll for it. We just simply agreed that Josh would actually take second turn, that I'd take first turn. Both of us wanted it that way, so we didn't even use the dice. As you can see, I've actually moved right up into the table. I've got the clouds down already. Infantry advancing fairly carefully, and this means that Haley's not going to be feating turn 1. I'm actually going to be able to move up and maybe use one of my feats in turn 2, and we'll see how it goes. So we're finally at a point here where I can actually start talking about the Signar first turn and see if there are any surprises. There aren't really. He's moved up with Sword Knights and Boom Howlers making a screen. We've got Arcane Shields up. His Jacks spread out. The thing is, I think he's handled the traffic jam a little bit more poorly than I have. He's actually got the Storm Wall kind of stuck back there. He's not going to be able to make use of the speed that Haley grants him. And both of his flanks are a little bit sort of half against infantry, and I think I'm definitely going to survive with a lot of infantry intact getting into the centre. So as you can see, it's just a lot of infantry sort of packed around. I'm just going to go through the next couple of photos here, and it's really going to be a couple of turns before either of us manage to kill anything. You'll notice here that he's got the Storm Lancers around the flank. He's only got 3 of them. They're going to have a hard time getting much leverage through that gap with their Forge Guy going in front of them. I think he should have probably brought them around closer to the centre. My plan is basically to move the cavalry through these larger sections, and after the infantry have been traded, essentially, the Vengers should be able to get into his heavy base stuff, his huge base stuff. So I think we've made it to a photo here where he's put down some covering fires, and it's now into my turn 2. And again, just trudging forward, the Judicators can only move 4, so just running 8. One of the Judicators is in Severius' battle group, and the other one is in the High Reclaimer's battle group. I was going to take Epic Fiora, but I decided that the utility of the control area spells on the other casters were important. Fiora is fantastic, of course, for this, with the bonded fire actually affects a lot of things. He's got deflection and deceleration up, so it's very hard for me to kill anything with shooting. P. Fiora also very awesome in this sort of situation too, but she's got to get within 12 inches to actually affect things with her feet, so you can't just send her into the middle of the army and activate it because she'll die. We've got the Vessel over here, Vessel of Judgment, which is just hanging in the forest with Kel Baylock next to it, doing a pretty decent job. Luckily hasn't taken too much damage, and you can see on the left that I've sort of baited Rowdy into a situation where if he charges one of the Vengers, the rest will be able to kill him. Nisio is actually engaging Rowdy and a couple of the Blazers, and I'll spread out with the Daughters just to minimise the damage that the Blazers can do and the Nis can do, and hopefully start to get a bit of leverage on that flank. But Alexia's behind them, and Alexia will be much more difficult to deal with in that spot. And of course, many feet with the Zealots way out there at the moment. So if you take a closer look here, you can see Nisia behind that rock with the Blazers. He's got Foxhole down there with Siege at the back of it, so Siege is pretty safe, and P. Kane there on the hill with Blur and Camping Focus. It's going to be a while before I have any opportunities to get to his casters, but if he does drop the ball, I should be able to move out with Blessing of Vengeance and actually immolate somebody with Severius and maybe a little bit of shooting. Next photo here, we've got the Errants, which aren't able to do too much this game. Their shooting isn't particularly optimal. I mean, I know they've got blessed crossbows and everything, but against the Forge Guard and the Boom Howlers, it's quite hard to get a lot of kills, since they're quite resilient units. And I'm, of course, not attacking that Storm Strider yet because I don't want to give it any tokens. But generally, a lot of my army is safe. I've got the Flame Guard shield walling up behind. Next photo here, what are we looking at? I think this is pretty much still the same one. I've got more of the troops in. Let's just do it more of an overview photo. So let's just spin it over to the next one here. Okay, here we've got a play. So Signar turn 2, I think it is. What's happened is that Josh has maneuvered so that Thorn has come around and he's managed to cast Temporal Acceleration on the Stormclad, and of course the Stormclad is in P. Nemo's battle group, so Nemo 1 is able to give him 5 focus. He is able to get past my Cinerators after he does deliberately shoot a couple of them blocking the way, and starts attacking the Judicator on the left. The Stormclad by himself did not take it out, but he was able to shoot at it with some of his other stuff and actually finally box it. Josh rolled really well on dice for the Stormclad, but I expected him to eventually take one of these guys down. So it'll be annoying for me to try and continue the game, but you've got to remember here that the Judicators, although they look big and imposing, aren't the pieces that threaten Josh's army the most. Their shooting isn't really relevant because he's got so much anti-shooting up his sleeve. Their combat ability is not going to be great because they're too slow. I mean, I'm taking them for show, really, in this sort of matchup. But the stuff that will do well is the infantry once they get up and close, and some of the solos will do a lot of damage, plus some of my hero abilities like Ashes to Ashes later on in the game. So annoying to lose a Judicator there, but Josh did well to take it out, and he used a lot of resources to do that. Next photo, we've got the Thunderhead in here, and the Thunderhead is considering a pulse, knowing that he'll actually do that on a lot of his own troops as well. So he's just trying to clear the way through, but unfortunately my Zealots have actually gone with the mini feats, so he's going to have to wait a turn before he does pulse. But nice photo here with the Signar huge bases. Next photo over here, what he decides to do is actually move in with the Blazers and try and shoot Nissia up in close combat, which I think he managed to do by the end of it, so Rowdy was free to move over and attack. I actually had a Daughter of the Flame in front of that, his Jack here on the left, but I managed to blow it up with my own shot from the Judicator shooting rockets in a previous turn, so that was really annoying. I was trying to hit the nest, but only killed a couple of them and killed the Daughter by mistake. Next photo, you can see me here measuring my control area over here, but what's happened is we've got a combat ensuing. He's killed most of the Errants at this stage, so I'm continuing to move in here. This is, I think, my turn 3, where we've got the Errants, just the last of them, moving in to block the Forge Guard from getting through the forest. The Vengers are moving in position. I've got the second Judicator over there trying to just hold his own, but in the middle, you've finally got a bit of a combat between the Bastions and the Sword Knights, and of course the Zealots are no longer immune to damage, so they're trying to kill the Boomhellers in close combat, but not managing to do very much because they're quite weak at that. Moving on here, you can see the right-hand flank. I've attacked Rowdy with the Vengers, who have done just about all they can to him, but didn't manage to finish him off, unfortunately. Lost most of the Daughters of the Flame, and the actual remaining ones failed their command checks, so they are fleeing. Siege has moved a little bit further forward, hasn't feated yet, and I've still got the Vessel and Kel actually doing a bit of damage at the back, and just waiting for the Paladins trio to move up, sending, of course, the Knights Exemplar around behind that wall of jacks through the center. Next photo here just shows you a close-up of Rowdy. They've got battle-driven, but for some reason I just couldn't get the dice I needed to kill him, so that was annoying. Usually 3 Vengers does a serious amount of damage to the jacks, especially as they're affected by 3 Kreoss' Divine Inspiration. They are affected by that even though they are way outside of his control area. I believe that's the case. Correct me if I'm wrong. So next photo here, I think this is my turn here, drawing to a close. We've got the Zealots, or the Temple Flame Guard have mini-feated, so they've got +4 armor and shield wall. Just expecting me to get shot here by Thunderhead or the Stormstrider or whatever. And of course putting the clouds down in front of the wall of Bastions. This is because Severius has actually charged forward and charged the back of one of my own Cinerators and used his feet. And I managed to collect Haley and Nemo and Siege in the feet, so just very short of Kane, but 3 of his casters cannot actually use their focus next turn. I've had to endure one turn of Haley's feet at this point, and I believe this was the turn to speak of, so that's why the guys in the middle weren't able to do very much. It's only the Vengers around the sides that could actually get much happening in terms of combat, and of course Severius, who was outside of Haley's feet range. I have feated with Vindictus, but I'm not expecting to get much mileage out of that because Vindictus's control area is only 12 and he's quite far back. So good feat there from Severius, not so much from Vindictus, and you've got the clouds there partially to stop Severius from getting shot, but also partly to stop him charging so many guys into my wall of Bastions and Cinerators, who are both Defender's Ward, by the way, so both heavy infantry units have got Defender's Ward from Severius and Vindictus. Next photo, Rowdy gets up here and actually bashes some of the Vengers. I think I've got another photo of this as well, so skipping to the next one. He's able to move in here with some Sword Knights, but there's a pretty serious wall here of the Avatar. I've got a Guardian in there and Cinerators with Defender's Ward, and I've got, oh, what's happened here, I've got, on the bottom right you can see that there's a unit of Knights Exemplar which have trashed his Stormclad. That's the one that took out my Judicator because they were not affected by Haley's feat, so that was me claiming at least a 10-point Jack for the 19-point Colossal that he killed. A little bit of a trade back. Next photo here, we've got one Venger having crushed his Hunter but not quite killing it, so it's still got a few boxes left there. Forge Guard still having at it, and of course my little Allegiant Order of the Fist guy in the forest trying to you know, continue to hold them back. Next up, you can see Severius in the middle. That's where he's ended up. He is within range of the Devout, but he hasn't really got any focus. So if Josh is able to find somewhere to shoot through the gap and actually kill Severius here, that'll be a problem. I think I might as well point out what happens the next couple of turns here. Josh is seriously considering killing Severius because he can use one of the Black 13th to actually tag that group of guys with a flare, meaning that they don't, you know, Signar army doesn't have to worry about the clouds to target those models anymore. Then he can use the Storm Wall to shoot at the Cinerator that's most hurt. He doesn't have any focus, but he can get one from Power Booster with Arlan behind him. And then it's just a matter of Siege moving up and ground pounding him. I think I can shield guard one of those hits, but Kane can actually move over there and shoot me as well. Kane cannot teleport back if he tries to assassinate Severius because the feat means that Kane cannot use spells while he's in Severius' control range. So if Josh doesn't get the dice that he needs to do that, then I'll be able to win the game by killing Kane. So that's why ultimately he opted not to do that, but I was really sweating through the hour that his turn took because I thought he would go after Severius and kill him, which would mean that, you know, I'd be way behind in the game. Next photo here, you've got a press of guys moving in. We've got Sword Knights, we've got Boom Howlers, just a combat ensuing here, and he's -2 to hit while under the High Reclaimer's Burning Ash Clouds, which makes a difference, and with Defender's Ward on the heavy infantry as well, makes them really, really resilient. Next photo here, Forge Guard moving through the gap, killing most of the rest of the Errants. They've got tough on them and managing to do a CMA on the Allegiant as well, which is annoying. It's really looking forward to using that guy because he's cool, but, you know, CMAs usually get the job done. Next photo at the back, Siege, as we talked about, had the option of ground pounding in the center, but decided to simply run, which I thought was a little bit of a waste of his turn. But it does mean he's located in a prime position to actually move in next turn and do an ultimate sort of feat plus ground pounder, possibly killing some of my casters sort of move. So I kind of like this move here by Josh because although he doesn't achieve much in the previous turn, he does have an opportunity now after my Severius feat's been used to actually move up and do some potential assassination next turn. I don't know though, he might have been better off just shelling it out in the middle and trying to get an advantage as soon as you can, because it's a bit of a snowball effect in War Machine if you can actually start getting the attrition game going your way early, as everybody's experienced. Next here we've got the Storm Strider blasting a hole through. What happened here I believe is that the Thunderhead went off and killed like 10 Zealots or something with the Pulse and like 2 Boom Howlers. Everything else is immune to it or something like that. And then the Storm Strider moves fast and kills some things. You've got a covering fire there in front of Boom Howler himself, and just a lot of carnage in the center. So it was a really painful turn here, I must say. So E. Haley's feat's been used, Nemo's feat hasn't been used, Severius' feat and Vindictus' feat have been used. Next photo, we're still at the Blazers active here, still shooting away at some guys. I think they had a crack at trying to kill one of my Paladins or something like that, but didn't manage to get it off with the dice. And the Nis have moved forward to CMA the vessel, and the 2 Sword Knights have moved in to try and kill it, but he's only done about half damage on it. So I'm still likely to keep that thing. And the Paladin's looking good to do a bit of a counter-attack in the following turn. Next, you've actually got a little bit more action in the middle. He's just maneuvered his jacks a little bit more. Severius is still looking fine, and the Stormblades couldn't charge the Cinerators because they can't see them due to the clouds, and don't have enough movement speed to walk over there and attack. And even if they did, they'd be unlikely to hit because of the Burning Ash reduction and Defender's Ward there. So you're sort of like normally against Defense 11, but it's more like being up against Defense 15. So pretty happy about how sturdy this center piece has gone, and generally my plan has been alright, although I kind of got a bit risky there with Severius, because as you can see, he did actually get the flare down with Lynch or Watts or whatever it was, and didn't quite manage to kill the Cinerators in front, but he did a lot of damage to them with the shooting. Next photo, this is just a bit of a zoom out overview. You can see what the battlefield looks like. You know, it's anybody's game at this point. No casters are dead. Very few models have actually died. So I think that's partly because of the feats being active. He's got no focus to dish out in that turn. I've got no movement or action, depending on what I decide to sacrifice under Haley's feat. But moving into the rest of the game, we can expect some carnage. Next photo. The Vengers have got a gap here. I was really lucky because he actually managed to damage one of them without killing them. So I actually have 5 Vengers with Battle Driven, and they of course charge in, wiping out the Stormstrider. And I've got the Temple Flame Guard moving in to try and kill some of the Boomhowlers, which they managed to. Most of my jacks are disrupted because of the Stormcallers, who can unfortunately triangulate with that stupid Storm Pod. Can't believe how broken the Storm Wall is just because of that Storm Pod. The Storm Wall by himself, fine. Storm Pod makes him too powerful. I think we can all agree on that. But luckily, he did manage to get a lot of damage done on that that Stormstrider, thanks to a couple of shots from the jacks, even without their focus. So next photo here, what I've done with the battle engine is to use the Miracle, which pushes away the the Sword Knights, giving me a chance to shoot. Kel Balog's just killing 2 guys every turn without fail, even with deflection and deceleration, which is fine. Rowdy's finally been destroyed by the Paladins, thanks to Vilman, and the remaining Vengers move around to kill some of the Blazers. And I've even got Rovan and his crew in tearing up some of the nests. So just taking the fight back to the Signar on this flank, we've got the Guardian in there. And the Cinerators have moved in to attack. You'll also notice that the Avatar has charged the Storm Wall, and that's with I have Menoth active and the Choir. I did so many boxes of damage to him, but I'd only rolled the minimum focus, so if I'd rolled like 4 focus instead of 2, I might have actually one-rounded him. But as it stands, Storm Wall still has some life left, which is going to be a bit of a pain. Next photo, you can sort of see the situation. Bastion's still slugging it out in the center. There's the Fire of Salvation, which gets disrupted every time, and even if he could actually get out there with his Vengeance move, he's just been blocked in by the general traffic jam. And Stormstrider has been taken out. Got Tough and Holy Ward up on the Vengers at this point, because I want to try and keep at least one of them alive so that the High Reclaimer can bring some of them back under the feet. And the Judicator really just waiting it out. You know, he's just trying to be there as a late game piece. I've got a mechanic left to try and repair him, so that's going to be something, and we're just going to see how it goes. Next photo, what's happened here is that Arlan Strangeways and the Tinker are actually moving in to repair the Storm Wall, which is a pain. And Siege moves around and pops his feet. I've moved back with Severius if you look at the top right hand side of the photo, so he's moved well outside of the action. Next photo here, we've moved his other Stormstrider into combat with the Judicator, doing a ton of damage to it, which is really easy for him to do when he's actually giving him so much focus through P. Nemo's overpower ability. He's got an Ironclad on the left, which has managed to take out the Guardian after harm was cast on it. Siege has speeded here, so he's just trashing me now. He's killed all the Bastions, most of the Cinerators. The Jacks are going down like sacks of bricks, and yeah, so really painful turn there. Nemo's feat was triggered right after Siege's one, so they take power 14 damage from the auto hit, and it's me at half armor, so that's really brutal. Next photo here, we actually had a charge from the Stormblade captain who rolled a double 1 to hit, so that Avenger survives, which is hilarious. Next photo here, the Thunderhead has actually killed even more of my infantry, so I've got very little left. He actually ends up TKing a back telekinesis with Haley. Haley's moved well back, as you can see, not wanting to lose her, as you can understand, and the Temple Flame Guard are the last wave of defense stopping the Forge Guard coming through the forest, so I've delayed them plenty of time. I've got my 3 jacks there, as you can see, but they were all disrupted, so it's a real pain in the ass. The next photo, just more of a zoom out, you can sort of see he's got a storm pod there. My jacks are disrupted. His storm wall is very badly damaged. The Thunderhead is not damaged at all, so that's quite a pain. He's also moved his storm lancers down around to the rear, which I think is a great move. It anticipates me counterattacking, so I think that's where they probably should have been all game long, but he has actually corrected his earlier positional mistake with them. Next photo, it's another picture on his side of the table. Still got a couple of Knights Exemplar there, but he ends up killing them with the help of some of his last shots, like the Rangers going through and sniping as well. And again, they're in range of Siege's feet, so it's really easy for him to kill anything that he touches with those light shots. Next photo here, look very carefully at the right-hand side of the table. Even though my jacks are disrupted, thanks to abilities like Warpath and Vengeance, I've managed to get the Fire of Salvation over there, with the Choir buff, by the way, whacking the Storm Wall. The Reckoner goes in and hits him with the Consecrator as well. And then finally, thanks to True Path, I've got the Exemplar Seneschal charging the Storm Wall and destroying it, which was fantastic. I actually rolled a double one on the charge for the Seneschal, but the next hit actually cleaned him up. It's great. True Path, fantastic ability in these sorts of games. It's a great ability, period. But when you can actually have it affect so much stuff, the +2 speed in Pathfinder is just amazing. Next photo, that's the aftermath there. You can see that Nemo's got the wreck to help him out. Same with Siege, and it's going to be a hard job for me to actually finish off by killing them. And the attrition battle's not really going that well because my Judicator's severely damaged, if not destroyed, very shortly. And my jacks get disrupted every single turn, so it's hard to get anything done. Next photo on the other side here, the Paladins are all still alive. I've got rid of the Blazers and his jacks here, but Alexia is bringing back a lot of Risen every single turn, so they're going to be quite difficult to get through. Still got Kel and the Vessel of Judgment, still doing a lot of damage each turn. So it's a bit of a stalemate in this flank. Nothing too much is happening. The real action's in the center. That's where both of us are really worried about our casters. Next image again, what's happened here, this is the move they've been waiting for all game. Hieroclaimer moves around on feats, and I was really fortunate that even though he destroyed all of the Bastions, Cinerators, and Knights Exemplar in one turn, he left one of the Vengers alive, thank God, and Hieroclaimer brings back 4 of them at full health, I believe it is. Doesn't say anything about one box, so I just brought them all back, and they charge through, wiping out the Thunderhead and injuring the Hunter even more. So this brings the attrition game back to me a bit more. I mean, the Judicator's up there with very little life left. But at this point, I've got 4 casters alive, so is he. I'm running out of infantry quicker than he is, but if I can actually get some mileage out of my jacks, I might be able to get to him. Next image here, so he retaliates. He's got the Tinker in combat with the 2 jacks here, so just Black Oils and with Gorman. Runewood's moved up to charge, but hasn't done very much damage there. And he's given 5 focus to the Ironclad because his intention is to move in and finish off the Judicator with the Ironclad. That supercharge ability is great. Next photo, you can see he's actually moved in and actually does so much damage to the Judicator. They've only got a few boxes left, so he managed to polish off the last few boxes with some shooting. I think he went in there with like a journeyman or something and finished him off with that. He's also used telekinesis to move the Blessing of Salvation, or whatever it is, Blessing of Vengeance back. Funny thing happened, the Ironclad charged in to kill the Judicator, and the defensive strike from the Blessing of Salvation, I keep getting the Blessing of Vengeance, keep getting the names wrong, actually crippled his hammer arm, which was hilariously funny, but he still managed to kill the Judicator anyway. Next photo, the Vengers are being bogged down quite heavily by Alexia and the Risen, but the Risen are just so terrible at killing anything that the Vengers managing to survive here with Battle Driven helping him out with the +2 armor. Next photo again, as you can see, the Judicator's been wiped out. The jacks are continually being disrupted every single turn. He's now focusing his attention on the Vengers, so they're going to be the unit to try and kill for him. Otherwise, I'm going to be able to get some damage done on his casters. So next photo again, he's actually charged in with the Storm Lancers, killed most of the Vengers. I've got 2 left actually, and all my jacks again disrupted or black oiled. Attrition game is looking a little bit dire because he's got a lot of support crew where I'm sort of running out of support team at this point. So next photo, as you can see here, what are my options? I've got the Knights Exemplar Seneschal and the Vengers, which have battle driven. Storm Lancers actually have reach naturally, I think, which is really stupid, which means that even if I try and take a free strike from the Venger on the right, he's going to take more than 1 free strike if he goes over to attack Nemo. The jacks are black oiled, so they can't go over there, and both of his casts seem to have cover again with the Rex, so getting Severius to do the job isn't going to work very well either. Next photo, the Reckoners move slightly out of the way, and the Knights Exemplar Seneschal charges Nemo. Nemo has no focus at all and no arcane shield. And I've moved Severius up in the previous activation so that Eye of Menoth would affect this guy, so he's mat 8, 9 or something like that, so he needs 5 to hit, and basically just 1 shots Nemo, just 1 round kills him. So that's like effectively a power 14 if you consider Eye of Menoth and his Righteous Vengeance. So 1 caster down, and after that happened, I started feeling pretty confident. Obviously with Haley alive as well, it's actually quite difficult because she's got a lot of really powerful abilities, but having 4 casters of 3 is definitely an advantage. Next photo, we've got Vindictus and the crew moving into the wreck, Defender's Wards going up on him, just trying to keep the casters as safe as possible because it's going to be sort of a shootout at this point to see who can get the other guys' casters first. But having knocked out Nemo, he's actually lost the Ironclad and the Lancer, so some of his jacks are non-operational thanks to the caster dying. Next photo here, we've got a single Venger charging Haley. Now, the Venger has Blessed, so ignores Arcane Shield. Haley has no focus at all, but she's got set defense. So we're talking mat 7, plus 2 for charging, that's 9 against defense like 18 from defense 16. I can't believe she's defense 16. I mean, spell slinging caster for crying out loud. The Venger needs a 9 because of that, and with Kreoss's Divine Inspiration, that's 2 dice drop the lowest, and I managed to roll high enough to hit her. And then it's power 16 against like armor 14, 4 dice drop the lowest, and that actually one-shot Haley. And after that happened, we knew that the game was going to go my way, because forecasted 2 is awesome, and when you lose Nemo and Haley, it's quite difficult for Signar to come back from that. Next photo, duking it out. Managed to miss Alexia when I charged the Paladin through. Actually cut my way through with the shooting and then charged her with the Paladin, but still didn't manage it. Still got Vilman and another guy back there, so maybe they'll do the job. Next photo on the right, I'm just putting down some clouds with the Reclaimer so that Kreoss can start advancing and getting in a position to seal the deal later on, as we could say. And still duking it out. Still got a couple of Temple Flame Guard left. And next photo over here, you can sort of see a bit of a zoom out. Really a lot of casualties taken both sides, and the battlefield's starting to look a lot more sparse. Next photo here, we've got the Defender charging in against Vilman. Sorry, is that a Defender? Yeah, Defender charging in against Vilman. I think he didn't actually get the dice he needed to kill him though, so Vilman gets another turn out of this. Next image here. Still haven't managed to kill Alexia. I've lost another Paladin from her. The Vengers are all gone, wiped out, and still got some support crew through the middle. Not having to worry about a couple of his jacks is really awesome. Even Thorn's gone now because of Haley being vengered. Next image on the right, Kreoss getting into combat finally and killing some of the Hammer Dwarves. Just putting down a cloud in front of him so that he doesn't get charged in retaliation, even though he's got Holy Ward and 4 focus camp. I just don't want to sort of risk anything at this point. Vanquisher moving on and vanquishing some of his Storm Lancers, and things looking pretty good, so just mopping up at this point. Next photo again, he's got the Defender. Vilman's cleared out some more of the, the Risen, so that frees up one Paladin to charge over there and attack Alexia and destroy her. So Alexia finally gone. He's still got Kane though, as you can see on the top right of the photo. Next photo, Defender finally charges in, but just gets terrible dice rolls on this machine. So he goes over there with something else, like I can't remember what it was, Kane I think, shooting it and managed to destroy it finally. So small victory there, wiping out the battle engine on the Menoth side. Next photo, Siege moving in to try and dish up some damage on the Reckoner. Just desperate measures at this point. Both of these jacks are quite severely crippled, and Siege doesn't really do any damage. I think he finally takes out the Reckoner after expending all of his focus and getting the Journeyman in there to help him. In fact, both of them. And that's pretty much it. Next couple of photos just show you the wrapping it up. But we decided to call it at that point. It became fairly clear that he wasn't going to be able to kill any of my remaining casters, and they were just sort of mopping up the rest of his army each turn. And it was about 7 o'clock in the evening. Hope you guys enjoyed this epic battle report, the Apocalypse, the End's Time of War Machine. I really love massive games, and I really encourage you guys to try them out if you've got the models for it. It's definitely doable, a bit of patience, and they look great in the photos. So hopefully have some more for you guys this year. But thanks for tuning in, and I hope you enjoyed this one once again. Catch you later.